everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Becoming a Product. My name is Naya, your host as always. And in today's episode, I would just want to discuss something I've always wanted to talk about regarding my transitioning from a traditional banking setting to the remote startup life that I'm living right now. But before we go into that, I have some exciting news to share. This podcast, Becoming a Product, has been nominated for an award. I am super excited. It is the APVA Awards in the Entrepreneurship and Career category of the podcast category. And when I got this news, when I saw the post of nominations, I was like, whoa. I was not expecting it, given the caliber of the people that were on that list or the past nominees. I didn't think that I could be in their league, but seeing that just kind of validated everything I've been doing, and I am super grateful for your support and everything. But we haven't won it yet, so we need to vote to be able to reach or to be able to get to the finish line. And if you stay to the end of the episode, I'll give detailed instructions on how you can do that. And we have till August 10th to make this work. So back to the episode. In today's episode, I'll be comparing the work cultures of banking and tech startups and sharing some personal reflections of how I adapted things I did and how they helped me. So many of you, if you don't know, I worked in a traditional banking setting for a couple of years before transitioning into the tech space. And when you want to compare, things were completely different. Like when you go from something that is already structured, everything is already set in stone, and you go to a company where everything is not set in stone. Whatever you do, you're kind of building it as you go. You're creating the documentation, you're analyzing the processes, you're figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And it was kind of overwhelming at the beginning, but there were some things I did that helped me cultivate a better mindset on how to succeed. But before I go into that, let's talk about some of the cultural shocks that I got. So working in the bank or working in a traditional, already established company, the environment is kind of already very structured and there's a hierarchy to how things are done. So every task has a defined process and there were clear lines of authority. Meetings were very formal. There was a dress code because it was on-site. So Mondays you had to wear particular suits. There must be jacket, there must be skirt or trousers. Then the rest of the week can be business casual. And everything was kind of predictable and in a routine I remember that if I'm going to work every day, it's access to customers, the sale, complaints, the same processes, everything has already been defined. So it was kind of routine after a certain period of time. But when you compare it to the startup that I just joined, it's completely different. The hierarchy, for instance, is kind of flat because I talk directly with the CEO. I communicate with the CEO. I work with the CEO directly. There's open communication channels. I'm able to talk to every member of the team. There's a strong emphasis on collaboration, on innovation, on agility. And then you have the remote setting. You can't compare remote to on-site because it's completely different. But everything on the startup it's a little bit more informal and spontaneous. Sometimes you can just have a quick call, you can have a quick meeting, you can have a quick chat, which is when you compare to a traditional setting, it wasn't what I was experiencing at all. And another thing that took me was decisions. In a startup, I have more power, that's the word, authority on some of the decisions I take, compared to the bank where I might need to seek 3 approvals before I do something. Decisions are made a lot quicker and you're expected to pivot and adapt a lot quicker in a startup compared to when I was in the bank, if that makes sense. So some things that I did that helped me with this change so that it wasn't as overwhelming, because it was in the initial stage, was that I embraced flexibility. Before I even got the role final, I understood that, because I had a talk with one of my mentors that works for startups, and she was like, startups are great for learning, startups are good, but because of the unpredictability, because of some certain things attached to it, you need to have a flexible mindset, a growth mindset, a learning mindset, because you're going to learn every day. So for me, embracing flexibility meant that sometimes I may do things that were not required of me or were not stated in my job description. Sometimes your roles may not be even properly defined. It will be defined as you go on, if that makes sense. So I had to be very adaptable. I had to be willing to take on different tasks as needed to help the company move forward. So that was one mindset that I adapted. Another thing was prioritizing learning. Coming in here, things were completely, as in, not what I was used to. So I knew that I needed to learn a lot. I needed to ask questions. I needed to do research. So startup is basically all about growth and learning. So I had to be proactive in seeking out how I wanted to learn things and build my skills. And this could actually mean, because I had to learn a lot of tools. Oh my God. Some tools that I hadn't used to work before, I needed to learn how to use them. So if you don't have this mindset of that you need to learn, it might hinder how you will succeed in those companies. Another thing that pushed me was cultivating that collaborative mindset. In startups, I've noticed collaboration is key. You need to talk. You need to collaborate. You need to have one-on-ones. You need to have meetings. You need to share. You need to be open to feedback, share your ideas, and work closely with your team. That collective creativity and problem-solving capabilities are what helps the business move forward. So it's not that it's you solving the problem. Even if you have a problem and you solved it 50%, you can always collaborate with someone. That's what I love about this place. I can always just put in a quick chat, hey, I'm stuck here, can you help me? Or even reach out to the CEO to assist or to give opinions regarding certain decisions I've taken. And it's kind of different from where I was coming from, because then I was told what to do. Even if I do give my opinions, it's dependent on the person that receives it, if it's going to take it into consideration or if it's going to be used. But come back here, I have a little bit more freedom. I have a little bit more authority over certain tasks, over for certain decisions. And I like that. It's something that I'm not used to, but now that I have it, I'm happy I have it. So one other thing, or the last thing, is staying resilient. So one thing is that a startup is not easy. It's not easy. And if you're coming into it, your mindset needs to be strong. You need to have a positive outlook. You need to have a mantra. You need to understand that things may not go the way they're supposed to go. But that is okay. You're iterating based on or the feedback you get. All this helps. Another thing is leveraging your background. My banking experience is also key. Things in data analysis, stakeholder management. If I compare the experiences, I can pick some things from the bank and put it into work here. So all this really helps me and my mindset when I was coming in here. So this transition hasn't always been smooth. There were some days where I'm I would prefer that structure, I prefer that certainty. But the excitement, the feeling you get when you're building something new, I don't know how to explain it, because when I was looking for companies to work for, I knew that I wanted to work for a startup. I wanted an opportunity to learn. I wanted an opportunity to work with a small niche of people. I didn't want that big organization in this early stage of my tech career. I wanted a smaller setting where I could really, really get my hands dirty. Like, that was what I wanted. And even though I miss structure and all that, sometimes, not all the time, the excitement of things that I'm building, like from ideation, from validation, things I haven't done before. But when I see how we work on an idea, how we refine it, and the rapid pace, that's the thing that trips me. In the banking sector, sometimes it takes a long time to get some things done. But here, within minutes, within seconds, we've taken a decision. And that collaborative space has helped me. So if you're considering making a similar leap, like if you've always worked in an organization that has always been structured and you're looking to move into a more flexible environment, your past experience is very valuable. For me, the skills that I learned when I was in bank, attention to details, customer focus, stakeholder management, all these were incredibly useful when I started this job. Also, you need to have the growth mindset. You need to be flexible, open to feedback. And one other thing is that in the bank, I struggled with mistakes. You're not allowed to make mistakes. A mistake will cost you. I had some situations where you talk to a customer in the wrong way, the customer calls somebody, and the next day you've lost your job. Or when you're doing a transaction, you've put a wrong zero and you transfer wrongly and the bank loses funds. You are conditioned to avoid mistakes at all costs. And in this startup, I needed to embrace the idea that failing was necessary. That was one thing that I struggled with. I hated making mistakes. I hated things not working out the way they were supposed to. My first project, my first assignment on this job, I failed it in my own opinion because I struggled a bit with that task and we didn't end up moving forward with it. And it was hard for me, but I learned the value of agility. I understood that failing fast and learning from those failures was actually a path to success. That shift in my mindset was needed, and that is how you are going to approach situations like this. You need to be able to have an open mindset. You need to be open to collaboration and all that. So when I look back, or when I reflect on my transitioning from a structured, well-established economy company to a more dynamic setting, it was indeed a culture shock. But it's also an incredible growth experience. It has been a learning journey for me. I have learned a lot in this 3 months of working in this company compared to when I was in that other setting, kind of. So one thing like I mentioned before, be open to feedback, be flexible, prioritize learning. Just have that mindset that you're going to learn a lot. You're going to do a lot more discussions. You're going to have discussions with people. You're going to do a lot more research, And when you have all that, it helps you function a lot better in that setting. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I hope you found my experiences and tips helpful as you navigate your own career transitions. So as usual, if you enjoyed this episode, please drop a feedback. You can drop a comment on Spotify or on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whichever platform you like. You can also send me a voice note on Spotify if you want me to hear your voice. And before we close out, like I promised in the beginning, our nomination of the APVA Awards in the Career and Entrepreneurship podcast category. Your support means the world to me, and I will be grateful if you can take a moment to vote for me. And how you can vote, you go to the APVA website, APVA Awards website. You click on Voting Open Now. You select Podcast. You select Career and Entrepreneurship category. You enter your email. Then you select Becoming the Product by Naya and you submit your vote. Thank you so much for your support. thank you so much for tuning in. I am forever grateful. I am forever happy for this podcast. And something that just started out as an experiment is my end goal is for it to be a resource, kind of. A resource for people who are transitioning, for the people who want to do a career pivot into product management. And I hope my experiences and my tips will always be relatable and useful. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good week.